Hi everyone, today we're getting ready to put the mounts onto the dash plate itself, so we're going to be able to mount it to the car and also be working on the defroster vent that goes right behind the dash. Alright, so I got multiple things in play here, and I'm trying to get through these things because, first of all, I have the hardtop on. And so normally you would have this flipped over because it's actually going to be living on this side over here. However, because this is in the way, I can't do that. However, it's actually good because I'm flipping this opposite, and I did some measurements just to make sure that this thing's really exact, and it seems like it is, because otherwise your little pinholes are going to be wrong when you flip this over and spin it around. But it allows me to get a nice, flat, clean outline on the car. Now, there's a hose that comes out of the bottom of this, and that hose exists somewhere around here, physically underneath this dash. And what I have to worry about is that my meters that are center in the car don't run into that hose. And so that's the first thing that I'm kind of doing. So because of that, I pulled my dash out and I threw my first two gauges in. And you can see that I think the clearance on that side of it is going to be fine because these don't go back. Well, let's actually measure. Let's see what it is. So I think it's going to clear it by a good inch. I think about an inch and 3/4 or 3 inches and a quarter is where that pipe's going to come down, that hose. So we're good on that side. However, now seeing the clearance because of the way these gauges mount, the way I'm going to mount the dash could be in jeopardy because what I was doing was this. And you could see that this space is probably cut in half now. So, you know, looks fine from the outside, but now that these things are in, that clearance is not going to work. So I have to really kind of figure out how I'm going to do this. And you know, the sides, no problem because there's nothing there, so it's not going to be a problem at all. But how am I going to get this center locked in? I'm not sure. If I would have known all this to begin with, I cut these holes before all this happened. I could have maybe spread this out a little bit more, but it would have looked weird with like big gap and then smaller gaps, or these spread out so far that wouldn't look good either. So a lot of different interplay going on between all these things, and hopefully I could figure it out and make something that makes sense. So the next thing to do was to drill this out and maybe hacksaw or, you know, use my grinder to bust this square out. But if I use the grinder, literally, it's going to dust everywhere and, you know, dust the engine and the whole garage, and I don't really want to breathe that stuff, you know, after the fact, after I'm doing it, just lingering around. So I think this is going to be something I wait until I take the body off, but I got everything marked. It's ready to go. So now I'm going to take this off and actually build this part and get it all ready so it's ready to assemble. What you have to do is actually silicone some parts shut so it's nice and sealed. So I'm going to go ahead and put that together. All right, so we're getting ready to do some panel bond. I've never used this product before. I actually watched a video how to set this gun up. Kind of cool. You take this part, you actually bring it through, and then the rest of it's pretty much like a caulk gun. You can pop this and slide this back and forth. So twist the tip on, and then there's a mixing ratio. You can see one is bigger than the other. This one's smaller, that one's bigger. And you definitely want to release a little bit of product first in case one comes out first. You get a good mix of when you start using it. And with these things, the reason for these holes is multiple things. And there's even a divot here so some glue can actually stay in the hole. But it allows the glue to go through and kind of come around a mushroom and like seal it in. But also you could also put rivets through this if you wanted to or whatever. So it's kind of a cool multi-faceted system, pun intended. So anyways, I don't know. I've been kind of nervous about this whole time, not knowing what to expect, but I think I'm just making way too much of it. So, but I always like to kind of know what I'm doing before I'm doing stuff, and that's not the case here. So we are going to try to see what happens with this. So you're supposed to get squeeze out on all sides, and you could just leave it mushroom like that. I decided since that was smaller, I'd connect a few. I might actually connect a few on this one. Not sure if that weakens, but I think it would strengthen personally. But and it seems like I'm getting decent squeeze out, but there's always a little edge or something that's missing. So I'm trying to load it up a little bit more. Which again, this might all be pointless because it's so strong, but I've never done it, so. And then I'm also connecting the top to the bottom just for like a full secure reach around. It's the comedy show. See if we get full squeeze out on this one. So I like that one better. I got full squeeze out on the sides. I'll be able to connect a few of these. The other thing is I don't really want this glue too high either. You know, right now some of it's higher than the shaft here. So that was probably too much glue. I'm a little bit worried that if it's too high, it's not going to suck it in far enough when I go to mount this. So I'm trying to take some of this down. I'm probably using too much glue in certain aspects and then not enough on others. I'll try to compensate. There we go. So this has to wait, I think it's like a 90-minute working time, and then it's, I don't know, 4 hours for, let's see what it says. So it's 90 minutes working time, 4 hours clamp time, and 24 hours curing time. And, you know, there's a, I don't know what you want to call it, a surface tension or whatever. Like, I'm not feeling any pull up or anything in this stuff. So since it's, I don't feel like I need to clamp it per se. However, when I go to actually install this in the car, I'm going to try to use this in itself as the clamp, because what's going to happen is you have the part of the dash coming down, part of the dash coming up, which this is going behind, and then the act of screwing this together is going to clamp that together. Now, what I'm worried about is if there's squeeze out and that gets on here, and then it's going to seal the dash in permanently, and we don't want that. So I might have to, you know, treat this with parchment paper or something like that, just to make sure that this doesn't, you know, accidentally get sealed in. But that's kind of the plan, because I really don't have any special clamps that would do it otherwise, and it's a very unique with, you know, curves and all sorts of stuff in there. So we'll see how that goes, but that's kind of the plan. Alright, so now we have all our straps cut in. I split this one into two since it wasn't going to fit due to the clamps that clamp the speedometers and stuff in. Got that one all good. They're not the prettiest things in the world, but it's all behind the scenes anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. And I don't really want to paint them or anything just because it will get in the way of the glue, and I'd rather have the glue have the best opportunity to stick. So the next process here would be to actually attach it to the car and use these studs to actually lock it into place. But I think that's really a two-person job, so I'll have to pick my timing on that to make that happen.